Just pulling up to the pier here in Kagoshima. It is a rainy day. Welcome back, everyone. Today we are in Kagoshima, Japan, and we have a real treat for you. We're going to be visiting Sengan-en, which is the garden and home of the former Shimazu clan in Kagoshima. So we're going to get to see a real Japanese garden and palace home. So come along and let's go explore. People down here are waving a welcome to us. So we are in Kagoshima, and we're going to Sengan-en, which is a traditional Japanese garden and a house that was built several hundred years ago. So it's unfortunately a rainy day, but that shouldn't interfere with our plans too much. Really nice, clean city here, and it's really fun to get to have the experience of being here. So, welcome to the samurai era. What we're looking at here is a painting of Tadayoshi and Hisamitsu of the Shimazu clan. When Nariakira in 1858 died, his nephew Tadayoshi took over as the last lord of the Satsuma domain. They worked with the British to bring modernization to Japan in the mid to late 1800s. They saw the advanced technology of Britain, and they helped to import such technologies as steam engines, beer production, and factories to Japan, and were an important part of the Meiji Restoration of Japan. This is their home that we're going to be looking at. Shimazu was the 30th generation head of the Shimazu family and lived here in 1886. Gotta love the minimalist style. Don't need a lot of furniture when you sit on the floor. Although from what I understand, these tatami mats are very expensive and difficult to maintain. Throughout the house you can smell the grass scent of them. This room offers an interesting blend of East and West. It's a reception room which was used to entertain foreign dignitaries. There's Western furniture from England, and the chandelier was made in the 1800s in London, and it was powered by a hydroelectric dam, Western machinery, nearby on the property. And of course the Japanese decor and tatami mats round out the Eastern culture. It says Tadayoshi would sit here to have his lunch daily. And this view encompasses all of the Chinese good luck symbols for Feng Shui within view, some of which are the white pine tree, bamboo grove, Chinese lantern, turtle rock, and so on. So this is Tadayoshi's bedroom, and it has double tatami mats with rice chaff packed between for insulation to keep it warmer in winter. This room was used for inspecting gifts that were sent from all over the world. The table and chairs here were used when the Showa Emperor came in 1972. This is his private bathroom. The servants would heat water and carry it through the door on the first of the room to fill the tub. This is his toilet. And that urinal has cedar leaves for deodorizing. Doctors would inspect the contents of the toilet daily to check on his health. This is our first time seeing a traditional Japanese house. This is more like a palace, really like touring a chateau in Europe, based on the importance. So now that we've seen the house, guys, we're going to go look at the traditional garden here, Japanese garden. And bearing in mind the significance here is the UNESCO World Heritage Site having to do with the Meiji Restoration, which is the entrance of Japan into the Industrial Revolution, which many Asian countries did not successfully complete, and was foundation for westernization of Japan and a lot of their success today. This site really helps combine the traditional, where you see the traditional palace home, with the more modern, as you see the lighting in the dining room that was powered by local hydroelectric, and many other examples to see. This is the largest lantern on the grounds here, built in 1884 for the 29th head of the Shimadzu family, Tadayoshi. There's a Chinese guardian lion on the top of it, with its hind legs in the air. And this coping stone was taken from the shore nearby. See why it's so green here? It's just raining incessantly. Look at the mist in the hills. Just the continuous green coverage. Guys, we are at the Shimadzu Satsuma Glassworks. Let's look and see what they're doing. What you're looking at here is the factory of the Shimadzu Satsuma Glassworks. And this was started in Sengan-en in 1851 by the 28th head of the Shimadzu family, Nari Akira. With the death of him in 1858 and there was a destruction of the workshops and a rebellion in 1877, production was stopped here and lost for over 100 years. But in 1985, Shimadzu Limited began researching into the ancient techniques and began a new factory to make exquisite cut glass crystal. This display shows how they put colored glass on top of clear glass and then cut it and polish it until you get a two-colored glass effect. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour of Sengan-en, the Japanese garden, the grounds, the palace, and the glassworks factory. We took a bus into the center here of Kagoshima, and we're going to go look for a special hot pot Japanese restaurant and also check out some of the covered shopping areas that you see in a lot of the cities of Japan, and maybe even look for some street food if we can find some. So this would be a great time to go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel if you would like to help support our growth and bring more videos like this to you. Here as we're walking around in Kagoshima, just look at that covered shopping area. Isn't that great? Can't wait to check it out. We got some of these Japanese pancake treats. They came in a box, a pack of 6, but there's nowhere to eat them, and the Japanese don't eat walking around, so we just took them back in their ornate box back to our cruise ship to eat them later. Look how clean the streets are here. So now we're heading down this cool street looking for our shabu shabu restaurant. That's a Japanese hot pot style of dish that was recommended to us, where you dip pieces of meat or fish or vegetables into a hot broth. But it's closed, so we're heading back to the ship. This is one of these man-made islands that they do so much of here. And essentially just for this pier, there's a little bridge right there, and then the buses come in. We all got off the ship, and most people were getting into taxis if they weren't on an excursion bus. Oh, there's a dragonfly just went by. I have to tell you, we saw some amazing butterflies in the garden. One of them must have been like 6 inches. It was the size of a bird that went by me. Black and white butterfly, and then some smaller ones. But anyway, our taxi just dropped us off right there, and you can see all these people are coming on board. And taxis have been quite easy. It's kind of interesting. They have probably like 4 digital screens with maps and digital information on it, but still they're keeping very careful paper logs of their trips and doing everything by paper. And they seem often kind of surprised when we hand them a credit card, and they are able to run it in their machine there. And they always ask us for a PIN, and we just hit enter on their screen instead of the PIN, and it goes through. So it's been pretty easy. But the taxi service is white glove. It's really professional and a nice thing. They say this taxis in Japan are like the 2nd most expensive in the world, but you know, we rode in the taxi for probably like 30 minutes coming back, and it was $21. So I really don't think it's a big deal. And if you're gonna waste a lot of time on the subway or trying to get a bus, it's better just to grab a taxi if you can. So what did you guys think about the footage that I filmed from the Japanese garden? That was just such a fantastic place. Probably one of the best places that I've visited on any trip so far. I mean, you've got the history there with the museum. They have a museum from the Meiji Restoration days, and the building we were in was actually a palace from the 1800s, which is the Meiji Restoration era. And important people lived there that were essential in bringing Japan from its backward days through the Meiji Restoration into full industrialization. And they made a point that no other Asian country was able to go through the Industrial Revolution the way that Japan did. There's actually some factory works that were there as well. And they told us about how they took a Dutch textbook and were able to recreate in their own way an iron smelter and start smelting iron. And essentially they were able to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and start their own industrial revolution. And there were some very prominent leaders there that brought Japan into the modern era. So that place is kind of a celebration of that, but also just such a great place to see a traditional Japanese garden and traditional Japanese home and so on. And we just had a ton of rain though, as you can see from the footage there. There were 4 inches of rain today. Goodbye, Kagoshima. It's 10 to 7 and we're pulling out. So probably the most notable feature of the town is Sakurajima, which is the active volcano there. And it frequently has a cloud or an ash plume above it, and they actually have a website where you can get the ash fall forecast, and if the wind is coming this way, it might be over the city. But it is closely monitored, and the city practices evacuation drills fairly frequently. All the people waving to us. City's really happy to have us here. This little island I was telling you about, that's a man-made island. This was just completed in 2019, just in time for the pandemic. And so there actually was never a cruise ship here until now, as far as I understand. Look at the beautiful view of Kagoshima fading into the distance there behind the bow wake of the ship. It's always beautiful to see the port towns, especially at sunset, against the landscape and the skyline. We're going to actually turn the ship around and head back up to Yokohama near Tokyo and pick up more cruise passengers for the next leg of our journey. We're also going to take a bus ride down to Kamakura and get to see one of the largest Buddhist statues in existence, and even go inside the statue and see a Shinto shrine as well. So don't miss the video and come and join us next time.